it's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State. Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Ground ball, right side.
Oh, yeah.
Put it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. Phoenix has the foul, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
DeBrincat gets it back to Goss. He's bearing across now. King.
Come on, Daddy. Come on, Daddy.
This is BS Sports.
Hello. Everybody have a good weekend? Everybody anything happen this weekend? Anything interesting? Anybody have any interesting stories that happened this weekend? Because I don't think anything really happened. I don't think there was really any sports news. It was weird. It was like the whole NFL. It was like they just shut it down. It didn't happen.
Ow.
Ow. We got a lot to talk about, actually. All joking aside. We do got a lot to talk about. But if I'm a little distracted, it is because our Detroit baseball Tigers are currently trying to keep the playoff hopes alive. They're a game and a half out. They got a big game tonight against Kansas City to try to win, let's see, their fourth straight series in the month of September alone. So, yeah, we're going to be a little distracted out of that. We'll talk about the Tigers a little later in the show. But we got a lot to talk about. Lions, we'll get to it very momentarily. But the rest of the NFL, absolutely bonkers. I mean, I don't think a single good team won this week. I'm gonna be honest. Just going down the list of teams that played. What like the Chiefs? Is that the only good? And the Bills? That's basically the only two teams that won. That I'm like, yeah, that's a good team. Like I'm actually not even joking. I guess Arizona. I kind of like Arizona. I think they could be a good team. And Houston. So like four out of 32. Or I guess 4 out of 16 because we're talking winners. But a lot to talk about, a lot to break down, and college football, because apparently that happened too. When we get to college football, I'll just be honest, because there was not a whole lot to talk about, but there is a few stuff there's a little bit that I want to talk about. Look, there is a bit of an elephant in the room, not in this room, not like if there was an elephant, and you'd probably see the elephant. I mean, it's not that big of an apartment, but there is an elephant in the room, and that is your Detroit Lions. The Lions Sunday, I said it on the show, on the live reaction, put on one of the most pitiful performances I've seen in a very long time. That was, without a doubt, one of the worst games that I've had the displeasure of having to watch. Look, and I say that comparatively because I had to watch the Ravens game last year. That was pitiful as well. But that game, they just died. They were dead from the start. The game was never going to go their way. Everything was going up Baltimore. This game, however, if you look at the box score, if you look at the team stats, and you don't look at the final score of the game, you would have thought the Detroit Lions won by 40. That's what's so frustrating. You want to know what the Lions' total yards was? 463. You know what Tampa Bay's was? Not that. 216. 26 first downs to Detroit, 14 for Tampa Bay. Detroit was absolutely in their own way every single time. Leading receiver was Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had more yards than their leading receiver, who had basically all 117 of his yards in the first half, Chris Godwin. Amon-Ra had 119 yards. Leading rusher for the Bucs was Baker Mayfield. Jahmyr Gibbs had 84 yards on the ground. He had 50 more yards than their leading rusher, Baker Mayfield. Jared Goff had almost twice as many yards in the air as Baker Mayfield. And although he had twice as many interceptions as Baker, but threw the ball like a billion more, like 4 times as much. This whole game doesn't make a lick of sense. And look, I understand Lions last year, they lost week 2 as well at home to Seattle, a team that I think a lot of people going into that game thought the Lions were going to roll. They didn't. The reason this is different is because we are coming off of a year where this team did get better on the defensive side of the ball. Last year against Seattle, they couldn't get a stop. If they would have gotten one stop, they would have won the game. Or if they would have won the coin toss in overtime. This year, we've got back-to-back games where Jared Goff and the offense look absolutely putrid. At least last week against the Rams, they managed to put it together in overtime and finish the game off when they had the chance. But in this case, they couldn't get out of their own way. I mean, 7 for 17 on third down. Can't have it. Can't have it. Like, you can't have it. Comparatively speaking, you can't be losing a game when you can go 7 for 17, which is, not amazing, but it's also not terrible. But the other team goes 2 for 10 and they score 4 more points than you do. You can't have that. You can't have you having 83 total plays and you coming up with just 1 touchdown the whole game. You're telling me you couldn't, you're telling me on how many trips they had to the red zone? Where is it? 7 red zone trips. You couldn't get more than 1 touchdown? 1. Absolutely putrid. And you know what's so frustrating? What's so sad about this is that now I have to hear from Lions fans about Hendon Hooker, about we overpaid Goff, about Ben Johnson is a con artist, and Dan Campbell. It was all in the, and I'm just standing here having to be the voice of reason. But now I'm upset with Jared Goff because all he had to do was put together one singular more drive of success, and we would have won the game. I was like Tyra Banks. I was
rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
That's how I felt after that game. Just Tyra Banks yelling at, I don't even remember what the context of that drop was, but I listened to it earlier today and I was like, I got to use this in the segment because, wow. And it'd be one thing if this was, Bucs blow you out, they knock the doors off you, the whole team looks out of sorts. Unfortunately for Detroit, that was actually not the case because at least, again, I can just clean the slate. All right, bad game. Everybody had a bad day. It's not good. Everything going up. No. What happened was the offense for the Bucs was also basically anemic. They were a whopping 1 for 2 in the red zone. Now, that might seem like a high percentage of success, but that means they got to the red zone 2 times. The whole game. They got to the red zone 2 times. And yet they managed to score 1 more touchdown than you somehow. You were within the 20 7 times. They scored 20 points. You scored 16. Make it make sense. They had the ball for almost 10 minutes less than you did, and they managed to score more points. And on the defensive side, they were absolutely amazing. It was probably the best defensive showcase that the team has put on against a competitive team in the Buccaneers than I'd seen in a long time. Aiden Hutchinson right now is leading the league in sacks. And I mean, when I say the league, I don't mean every individual player. I mean, he is leading every single team in sacks. He has 5.5 sacks this year. 4.5 of them came on Sunday. And that is more than any singular team. I'm pretty sure that's still the case. At least it was the case on Sunday. It was not taking into account the Atlanta-Philly game, but I'm going to live with that being the fact. And Brian Branch had a solid game. 5 solo tackles, had a couple of passes deflected, had an interception as well. The defense keeps you in the ballgame. And somehow, some way, this offense says, you know what? I don't want to win this game. I want to make Mike mad. I want Mike to go on his show on Tuesday and yell about Jared Goff having a lower QB rating than his punter. To be fair, Jack Fox threw 1 ball. But still. That was a great throw, by the way, by Jack Fox. And it's not just on Jared Goff. I want to make that clear because there's going to be people who are saying you're being too hard on Jared Goff. You're not talking about Ben Johnson. Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about Ben Johnson. Hey, so and Dan Campbell for that matter. So, maybe call me naive. All right. So after the game, I want to say it was either the day after or maybe it was post game. People were asking, hey, by the way, Dan, I don't know if you looked at the box score, but why did Jared Goff throw the ball 55 times when we have one of the best 1-2 punches in running backs in the league? Why did you do that? Why did he throw the ball twice as much as they ran the ball? Why did they do that? What was the reasoning? Well, according to Coach Campbell, apparently, it was they wanted to use the passing game to open up the running game. I don't know if maybe he's new to football. I'm gonna assume he's not new to football, but that's not how it works. You don't open up the run game by using the pass game, because you can't play action a run, right? Like when you do a play action, the whole point of the play action being so effective and the fake handoffs being so effective is because they don't want you to run the ball because you've been running the ball all over them. And then they see you about to hand off the ball to, let's just say, Jahmyr Gibbs or Dave Montgomery or whoever. And then, oh, shoot, Goff's keeping it. Uh-oh, Amon-Ra's got a step on me. Goff's going to get it to him. Touchdown, Lions. It doesn't work in the reverse. You don't just, like, I think the game plan that they had in mind was, oh, come on, the Bucs. They got nobody in their secondary. Jared Goff's going to feast. We could throw the ball a million times, and we're going to get it done. Well, clearly that didn't work. And it wasn't working the whole first half. I don't know what possessed them to help to, like, continue to do that. Like, you're in the fourth quarter, and neither team is scoring. Run the damn ball. Run the damn ball. Baker Mayfield can't move down the field with any amount of efficiency. He threw for less than 100 or less than 200 yards. He had a 90 QBR. He got sacked 5 times. For goodness sake, they couldn't throw the ball. So why are we like giving them more time when we could just bury them by having Montgomery run the ball, by having Gibbs run the ball? Like, I don't understand how the mindset could have been, well, we're going to just open up the run game by passing the ball. That's not how it works. That's just, I'm not an NFL coach. I'm not an NFL player. This might be shocking to some of you, but I know that you don't open up the run game by passing the ball. You just don't. Jeez Louise. I could go on and on about this. And it's all the more frustrating when Amon-Ra had an amazing game, 119 yards and 11 catches. He had a great bounce back game. Shout out all the people who are getting mad because he got paid. He doesn't want to perform anymore. No, I think he can still perform. But none of it even matters when you're throwing red zone interceptions, when you're throwing interceptions on the first play of the game, when you're giving up drives because you don't know whether or not you're going to spike the ball or whether or not you're going to run the field goal unit. I don't know. Again, what was the plan? What was the mindset? What was Campbell telling him? And Campbell admitted this was on him, but what was being told? Did you again, this is rudimentary stuff, right? This is stuff that kids who play Madden know. And I know it's different in live situations. I know, I understand you're dealing with real people. You're not dealing with computer code. I get it. The principle still stands. Everybody in the stadium thought you were going to spike the ball there. Why did the special teams unit not think that? We're never going to know, and ultimately it might not matter because it is still week 2 and the season is not over. I do think that this team is still very, very good, and it is simply just a matter of time, hopefully, that Jared Goff finally gets back to that form. Now, the fear is Jared Goff going to get back to that form? I heard a stat, this was apparently from PFF, his 2 worst games over the past few years since he's been in Detroit have been these first 2 games, which is all the more alarming when you think of, well, wait a minute, this team is way better than any of the teams he had prior. And yet somehow the past 2 weeks, he's had the worst games he's had. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate. I don't necessarily buy it. I mean, it's PFF, so you could take it or leave it. But to say I'm concerned about the offense would be an understatement. Especially now, next week you're going into Arizona, and Kyler Murray and the kid and Marvin Harrison, they look like that could be a top offense in the league. Now, again, it's week 2, so a lot of things can change very quickly. But you got to finish drives. And that is the ultimate, right? I cannot have another day where the team goes 1 for 7 in the red zone. You're not going to win a lot of games if you can score 1 touchdown in 7 red zone trips. You're just not. And this team hasn't lost 2 games in a row since 2022, I want to say. So it's been a long time. And so this team is certainly the kings of the bounce back, right? You have a bad game, you come back and you win it. This is going to be on the road. Arizona is not known for having a great fan base, but it's still on the road, and they're going to be playing in front of their hometown crowd. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people there rooting for their team that very well could have been 2-0 at this point, if not for losing to the Bills on the road. Like, if I can leave a few more, if I can end this on a little bit of a positive, the bend don't break defense does appear to be legit. Again, Baker Mayfield was held to under 200 yards. Mike Evans, did you even play? He caught 3 balls for 42 yards. And that was probably the most that they could get. Chris Godwin was basically took over the first half. After the first half was over, you know what? They just gave up. they just said, you know what? We're done with offense. We're done. So there is that this offense or this defense very well could shut down a rookie wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. They could shut down a good, albeit inconsistent quarterback in Kyler Murray, a guy who does sling the ball and can put it in dangerous spots a lot of times, but is a bit of an innovator. So I don't know how well Aiden Hutchinson is going to be able to do against a mobile quarterback like him, because Baker Mayfield is, no disrespect, a bit like a statue sometimes, despite the fact that he led the team in rushing, by the way. If the defense can continue to be this way, you're going to be in games, and defense is going to travel, right? The old adage of defense wins championships, I think, still holds supreme. I know there's a lot of people who say, no, it's all about offense. The league is so... You look at all the last few Super Bowl winners, up to and including the Chiefs of last year, most of them were top-tier defenses, right? You're comparatively speaking, the defense is going to travel a lot more, especially in the postseason when things really get tight, than the offense. Do I expect the Lions next week to drop a 40 bomb? Absolutely not. Would it reassure me that we actually do still have a top offense in the league? Yes, it would. So please, this is an Arizona team that was not a playoff team last year, might not be a playoff team this year, although I do think they could be, but they're still we don't know. We don't even know necessarily what the future of what that situation is going to be like with Kyler Murray and whether or not he is truly their guy. I know he's already been paid, but things can change rather quickly in this league. I guess to end this fully, I will say that this game can be completely written off with winning the next 3 games in a row, right? Like going on a run here where you can flip the switch, right? And Aiden Hutchinson, to his credit, in the post game, he said something along the lines of, this kind of a loss actually could benefit us. This could be a wake-up call for the offense, could be a wake-up call for Jared Goff, could be a wake-up call for the team as a whole, that if you want to be legit, if you want to make a Super Bowl run, which I think this team is capable of doing, you have to clean it up, and you'd rather lose in September than lose in January, right? So I'm on a concern level, I'm probably out of 10, probably at like a 4.5, where I'm overall probably not as concerned because we've been in this spot before recently and we've been fine. But still a lot of games to go. And you can easily, 1-1, and there's a lot of teams that are 1-1 that probably won't stay 1-1, and there's a lot of teams that are 2-0 that probably won't stay undefeated. On the other side of it, it is on Jared Goff and it is on Ben Johnson to make these adjustments. I really hope that the league has not, quote unquote, figured them out. I don't really believe in that sort of thing. I don't think like one day the league was like, oh, I get it. We just gotta tackle him when he's got the ball. See, I never even thought of it. It's like, that's not how it works. like they can watch the tape during the year. It's not like the whole year they're just like, how do we stop it? I don't know what they're doing. They're throwing the ball and the other guy's catching it and they're handing it out. I don't know what to do. Like that I think that is what some NFL fans do think. Like teams got to figure out. It's like, no, you can figure them out by watching the tape. It's not some. You have to be an idiot not to be able to figure some teams out and how to stop them. Anyway, that's my own ranting aside. We're on to Arizona. Mentally, I would like to be on to Arizona. And if we win the Super Bowl, this game will never be discussed. And if we don't win the Super Bowl, I also don't want this game to be discussed. If anybody brings this game up to me, I'm going to find them, go to their house, tie them up in a chair, and throw them down a flight of stairs. Assuming they have a flight of stairs. It could be a single story. They might not have a flight of stairs. If they don't have a flight of stairs, I don't know. I guess I'll just tie them up. That won't be as bad, but might still be kind of uncomfortable. Maybe I'll use like duct tape. This is all a joke, by the way, for the FBI agent who's listening in on this. So yeah, this is all a joke. Anyway, let's move along before I get arrested. All right. So the title of the show was that the NFL was absolutely insane. Because the NFL is absolutely insane. And it was absolutely insane this week. So we'll start from the top here. Buffalo and Miami. So the story of this game is really not the result. The story of this game is Tua. So I'll try to be a little bit more serious here than I normally am. But Tua got hurt again. His brain got knocked up again. Another concussion, ironically enough, by Damar Hamlin, who obviously everybody knows his story. I'm not going to get into that. And the question of whether or not Tua should continue to play football has already been, I think, discussed up to this point. But obviously it happened Thursday night, so I didn't really have much of an opportunity to talk about it. So I want to spend some time talking about it. Do I think Tua should retire? Yeah, probably. I mean, like, I've mentioned this before, or I mentioned this before on the live broadcast. It's not like we're talking about ACL tears or breaking your arm or something like that, breaking your ankle, Achilles, whatever. We're talking about your brain. We're talking about your ability to function, right? Like it's similar even to the Damar Hamlin situation, where like it was just impressive enough, the fact that he was able to go back and play football again. But if he chose not to, it's like, yeah, I get it, right? We're talking about your heart. In this case, we're talking about your brain. And Tua is not an older guy, right? But these sorts of things, like the more concussions you get, the more likely you are to get another concussion. It's similar to breaking an arm, right? If you break your arm, you're more likely, assuming you're doing the same sort of thing, you're more likely to break it again, right? Like, it's not always going to heal completely fully, right? There's going to be some scarring. There's going to be some scarring that doesn't come back. And with Tua, it's just he had such a great year last year. He got his extension this year. Obviously, the Dolphins do not want him to have to retire, but unfortunately, it just keeps happening. And you don't want to see a man basically lose it, essentially, at, age 45 because he wanted to play a few more football games that ultimately didn't end up meaning anything. Because unfortunately, are the Dolphins going to win the Super Bowl this year? No, probably not, because Tua is on the IR, so he'll be gone for at least 4 weeks. And Skylar Thompson is your quarterback, so you're probably going to lose most of those games. I would be shocked if you won those games. I don't know who they're playing, but assuming they're not playing the Carolina Panthers 4 times, they're probably going to lose at least a few of those games. And you already lost this past game. And unfortunately, even when Tua was playing against the Bills, he looked terrible. He looked awful. He looked like Tua turned the ball over all over again. So you had your fun, not to put it lightly. He won a national championship with Alabama. He made it to the NFL. I want to say he's had a Pro Bowl season. I could be wrong on that. You've done what you can, but unfortunately, you lost the injury lottery. And it kind of goes back to a quote from the movie Moneyball, if you've ever seen it, where The scouter is telling Billy Bean about, at a certain point, the game, tells you can't play. At a certain point, you get told you can't play the game anymore. And that can happen when you're 18. It can happen when you're 12. It can happen when you're 40. But everybody gets told. And I feel like right now, Tua, the game is telling you got to step aside. Now, I will say I don't want anybody. I wouldn't support necessarily the NFL or ownership or coaching or whoever to force that decision upon him. I think he should be the one making the decision. However, I do think his family, the NFL, ownership, general manager, and coaching, I think they should tell him to retire. I do. And I know that's self-serving because I'm not a Dolphins fan. So, I'm sure Dolphins fans, they know that he is their only hope for the quarterback position, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work out one way or the other. So, yeah, I hope it turns out okay, and I hope he doesn't have to retire. And this is the last major injury he suffers. But just knowing history, just knowing how this sort of thing works, I doubt it will be. So, moving along then to actual game-related things, as I'm trying to get the Tigers-Royals game, but it was just a black screen, and I don't know if that was the buffering or if that's just what the game is. Okay, it's like buffering or something. Whatever, we'll just leave it at that. And if it doesn't ever turn on, then things will... Oh, okay, there we go. Anyway, we'll get to actual football here. So how about them Cowboys? I mean, you know what? The Lions might have lost, but at least the Cowboys suck. At least the Cowboys got murdered. I mean, I am going to say this right now, and I don't care what Saints fans say. This is fugazi. There's no way that this Saints team is good. Derek Carr is not a good quarterback. I've seen it. I've seen this movie too many times. He's not good. That team is not good. I refuse. On principle, I refuse. There's no way Saints are good. But either way, the Cowboys did look terrible. Defensively, I mean, you give up 44 points. You did not play well, needless to say. But I think this was at least one of the many picks that I think nobody saw coming. This whole week was basically, oh, you're in a pick'em league. Oh, you think this week is going to be easy? You know what? No, it will not be easy. We're going to ruin it for everybody. Nobody's going to get a perfect week. So the Cowboys get blown out in surprising fashion. But potentially even more surprising is the Minnesota Vikings getting a win over San Fran. I mean, home opener. The crowd in Minneapolis is going wild for a great win for Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson and things. Why? How is this happening? That is two, and I guess if you count the Lions, that's three NFC contenders that just inexplicably lose to a team that talent-wise should not be even close. But yet, San Francisco does it. That's not even this is the tip of the iceberg. Washington and New York played a football game, technically. Technically, they played a football game, is what I should say. I'm gonna just run down a little stat line for you. Just a little tiny little baby stat line. Okay. Daniel Jones, he threw for 178 yards, had a couple of touchdowns, had 100 rating. Not too bad. Not a bad day for Daniel Jones. Had 32 yards on the ground. Pretty good. Devin Singletary, 95 on the ground. Pretty good. Malik Neighbors, 127 yards in the air. Might be a new star. Might be a positive part of this Giants team. If I just gave you those stats, you'd be like, well, they probably scored a good amount of points. I mean, at least 2 touchdowns, right? And a rushing touchdown. So at least 3 touchdowns. They probably that means they scored what? Like 21 points, right? No, they did not score 21 points. Well, then they must have scored. Maybe they went for 2 a couple of times. Maybe they scored more, right? Maybe they scored, maybe they scored 23 points, right? Or 24. Sometimes you score more points, right? No, they did not. The Giants scored 18 points. Apparently what had happened was their kicker just died. Just died. Like in the middle of the I'm not even joking, okay? Like the Jamie Gillian or Gillen, I think that's their kicker. I don't even know. I don't know who their actual kicker. He died before the game, so they didn't have a kicker. Which is, usually that's not a problem, right? I mean, maybe not usually, but you can make do without a kicker and win a game. It might not be easy, it might not be clean, but you can win the game. You score 18 points. Okay, fine. But you lose the game, and the Commanders score 21 points. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, they scored 3 touchdowns too, except they had a kicker, so they made the extra points. So that made the difference. I'm just gonna run down some stat lines for you, and we'll talk about it. Jaden Daniels threw for 23 out of 22, 226 yards, no touchdowns, a 99.1 rating. Okay, well, no touchdowns from him. They probably ran the ball. Right. Brian Robinson Jr. Carried the ball 17 times, had 133 yards, and no touchdowns. That's kind of odd. That's kind of strange. If Jaden Daniels didn't throw any balls to the end zone for a touchdown, if Brian Robinson didn't, well, maybe Jaden Daniels ran some in. Maybe it was like QB sneak. Sometimes that happens. Jaden Daniels, he carried the ball 10 times for 44 yards and no touchdown. The Commanders scored 21 points on field goals. Huh? How did, huh? Austin Seibert kicked 7 field goals. 7 for 7. Made a 45-yarder, no extra points. He should be getting the MVP. Like, if they didn't give him the game ball, I don't know. I don't know if the Commanders have like this like post-game locker room. I'm pretty sure they do. They all post these sorts of things. If Austin Seibert did not get the game ball, then kickers should protest the league. They should leave. They should not come back until they are given. So they give Austin Seibert that game. How the Giants lost this game. Now, look, unfortunately for the Giants, as much as it might be cool because you're thinking, well, they're going to get the number 1 overall pick. Danny Dimes is going to be, gone. They're going to get, Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers or Shedeur Sanders, any of these top quarterbacks coming out of the college football this year. There's only one problem, and I discovered this today. The Giants play the Carolina Panthers. Oddly enough, this is also the German game. So we're taking the 2 worst football teams and putting them overseas, giving them to the world. I hope that they take them to Berlin and they don't come back. They just leave them there. They just say, you know what? You 2 forfeit the league. You're an embarrassment. We're not doing this. You lost a game, New York Giants, to a team that didn't score a touchdown and scored 21 points, all on field goals, including a game-winning field goal, by the way. And unfortunately, again, because you play the Panthers, that means that, assuming both of you, that is either one of your teams' only win, which there's no way that either of them is going to go 0-7. Well, they both can't go 0-17, but it's very hard to go 0-17. But gosh darn it, when you lose games without the other team scoring a touchdown, it does make me think, could they do it? We'll see. I have a hard time believing that they would lose to the Panthers because I'm pretty sure I could beat the Panthers by myself. Like, I think you put me out there, I might be able to score 6. I don't know how, but I could probably do it. Meanwhile, wanted to also comment on Trevor Lawrence because he sucks, and yeah, he's a bust. He's a bust. I don't know how else to put it. When you can't seem to get out of your own way in 2 games in a row here going into 2024. We're now dealing with a quarterback who has he's had a losing record for a while and basically has had 1/2 of a good season his entire career. I will say this was one of the more disappointing things because Trevor Lawrence in college from Clemson was one of the most electric players in college football, winning the national championship with Clemson. He was surefire. He was Peyton Manning. He was going to be the next big thing, and he stinks. Straight up, he stinks. I'm very disappointed because, for one, he let Deshaun Watson succeed somehow. So that's obviously very distasteful. But he's just not good. He's just not good. And leave it to the Jags to basically whiff on 2 number 1 overall picks back to back in Trevor Lawrence, bust, and I don't even know if Trayvon Walker is still playing. I don't think I've ever heard Trayvon Walker's name called in any meaningful way at any point. Let me actually look. Is he playing? He is playing. Well, you'll be happy to know Trayvon Walker had a total of 2 tackles, and one of them was solo. Number 1 overall pick, by the way. Aiden Hutchinson just got another sack. I mean, I appreciate that the Royals, the Jaguars just gave us Aiden Hutchinson. I appreciate that. I'll leave it to that dumpster fire of an organization to do that. So yeah, appreciate that. And speaking of busts, we gotta talk about poor Bryce Young. So yeah, he sucks too. He's also bust. Now, the thing is, unlike Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young has at no point ever, the entire time he's been in the NFL, looked good. Like, there's really never been a game, even in the 2 wins that he does have, I don't think he threw anything meaningful in any of those games. He has sucked from the beginning. I never understood why he was getting hyped up for number 1 overall. I wasn't particularly impressed by, I mean, obviously, he's good in Alabama. He won a Heisman for a reason. But I didn't see, like, it was one of those things where it's like, I just don't get the hype. Like, I watch his game tape, and when I watch him, he just doesn't blow me away. So I don't know that the NFL is long for him. I think he might be playing in Toronto very soon, especially considering that Carolina, assuming they end up with a top 3 pick, which is basically a surefire thing. Yeah, they're going to be taking a quarterback. And you know what they're probably going to do? They're probably going to take the wrong one. They're probably going to take Shedeur Sanders because of the name brand. And, it's going to bring a lot of eyeballs. And then they're going to realize, oh, wait a minute. This guy's got terrible character flaw. He has no leadership skills. He's going to be yelling at his wide receivers and his linemen all the time that he's there. And it's basically going to be like Bryce Young, but maybe a little more entertaining because Dion will be like chirping. That can be fun. But yeah, he got benched. Andy Dalton will come in. Now, things are bad. Things are bad for a quarterback when you are the number 1 overall pick. Theoretically, all you have is upside. And your coach says, you know what? We're going to put Andy Dalton in. We're going to put like the worst playoff quarterback ever. We're going to put him in as Matt Vierling just hits what looks to be an RBI double. Ibanez is safe at the plate. RBI double for Matt Vierling. Tigers up 1-0. Here we go. Top 1. No outs. Matt Vierling smokes one to left field. Oh, man. There you go. All over the cutter. Oh, man. Off to a good start for the Tigers. Anyway. Bryce Young, you're bad. I'm sorry. Have fun playing for the Argonauts or whatever CFL team is. And speaking of other number 1 overall picks that might be kind of weird, Caleb Williams, we gotta have a talk, buddy. You and me. We gotta have a talk. What's going on? I was told that you were a surefire thing, that you were ready to go. You're gonna light up the league early, and so far you have thrown as many touchdown passes as me. And yeah, you've thrown last Sunday, losing to the Texans on the road. 23 for 37, 174 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 7 times. Obviously, it is still very, 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 very early. Very early for Caleb Williams. I don't think he's going to be you. I don't think he's going to be terrible. But all that I've seen from Caleb Williams so far in the 2 weeks is looking like he's out of his league. Like looking like he can't do the sort of things that he used to be able to do in college. And it's not going to get much easier as the time goes. It might slow down a little bit, right? You might be able to get used to that game speed. You might be able to start to develop some chemistry. But I mean, it's not like this team is without decent weapons. You have DJ Moore. You have Rome Odunze. You have Cole Kmet. You have a good amount of bodies that you can put out there and be able to throw the ball. So what is it that's holding him back? And I will say this because I don't know why nobody talked about it the entire offseason. It's Matt Eberflus. This guy sucks. This guy stinks. I mean, like, first of all, he was brought in. I don't think anybody really had any positive any positive view of him. And now he's basically he kept around essentially because they sacrificed Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. But it's like, wait a minute. This was the nincompoop who was coaching Justin Fields, who was still a young quarterback and showed no signs of positive development. And now we bring him this new, supposedly perfect quarterback. Nothing can ever go wrong. He's shown no ability to develop anybody on a positive note. Like, the defense, sure, the defenses look fine. I mean, that's no doubt about that. Defenses look solid. But goodness gracious, this team offensively looks totally disconnected. It's like they don't even know that they have weapons. That's what it feels like. And I think it is Matt Eberflus. And he should, I don't know why this guy keeps his job. I really don't. He was the vibes coach, basically. That's the reason he kept his job, his vibes. He was a vibes hire. And because they wanted to have Matt. Because they already had a Matt before. So it's like, well, it's easy. Coach Matt, it's easy. Easy for the players. Don't want to make things too complicated. So, yeah. Is Caleb on bust watch? I mean, maybe technically, but probably not in any significant way. If by the time we get to week 6 and he's still playing like this, then absolutely. Because then we're looking at something that's very akin to Bryce Young. Or even Trevor Lawrence, right? Where guys that were hyped up and, can't miss prospects. And, we're 6 weeks in and the only thing missing is the quarterback in the end zone in that case. So, yeah. I got another sort of interesting, I got a couple of interesting things here. So injury-wise, Isaiah Pacheco's out for a few weeks. Cooper Kupp likely heading to the IR. I think he already did. Deebo Samuel is out. I already mentioned Tua just went to the IR. Is this just fantasy hell? I'm in a couple of fantasy leagues actually. But the one I forgot the draft was happening, so I'm just auto draft, so I don't really care that much about that one. Although I'm actually having more success. This is just fantasy hell. I mean, it's just you lose Cooper Kupp, who is a fantasy favorite, but Pacheco is a fantasy favorite. Deebo Samuel's. It's what? Let me have fun. Let me have fun for more than 3 weeks. What the heck? It's just not fair. It's just not fair. But no, I mean, for those actual teams, it is obviously a problem. No doubt about it. I mean, for the 49ers, you're coming off a loss against Minnesota, and you lose, a captain on your team, one of the better offensive players on your team. For the Rams, you're now 0-2 and you lost your best wide receiver. On top of already losing Puka Nacua the week before, the Rams could be going down a dark spiraling hell. And for the Chiefs, I mean, you managed to sneak out the win over the Bengals, but now you lose your running back, and suddenly the run game for the Chiefs is not all that scary. And Patrick Mahomes, he's still Patrick Mahomes. He'll still make you look good, but still, this just feels. I don't know if it. I imagine this probably happened again last year. I don't remember exactly because I have short-term memory. But once again, we're dealing with very early injuries to pretty big names. So I think this is going to show the depth is going to be the key to a team making a run here. Now, obviously, you'd rather those injuries happen earlier than later, right? So if you're a team like the Chiefs, all you got to do is survive without Pacheco. You don't have to, win out. You don't have to look amazing. Just survive until Pacheco gets back and he's ready and he's in this lineup, and you can, go from there. Same would probably apply with the 49ers. With the Rams, yeah, I don't know. That might have just sunk your season. Short of Stafford going down, you might be in a bad spot. Another thing I wanted to point out, as a little bit of potential solace for my anger with the Lions and just the league in general. This past week, on Sunday, I counted this because I was like, this is interesting. On Sunday, and up to actually on Monday, all the way into Monday, just two teams scored. What was it? Just two teams scored at least 30 points. Is that? Hold on, let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah, two teams total on Sunday scored 30 points. Three teams over the entire week, including Thursday Night Football. Although one of those touchdowns for Buffalo was pick six. So you take that away, they actually didn't score 30 points, at least offensively. Is the offense just down right now? That's what it kind of feels like. Because 49ers can't score. The Lions obviously can't score. The Cowboys can't score. The Chiefs also really, 26 points is not terrible, but it's not the Texans can't really score. The Ravens can't really score. Like, this just might be a bit of an off year for offenses this season. I don't know if this is going to last, but certainly it has been the case this week that offense has stagnated. Is that going to be good for the league? Is that going to be something that is going to be long term? I don't know. But obviously, as the weather cools down as the weeks go, depending on where you're playing, offense doesn't come naturally in the cold. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I just found that fascinating that just a lot of teams offensively were down. So it does potentially give some solace for the Lions. But obviously, there's no solace that can be gained for that performance. That was pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. And by the way, it was very fun watching the Eagles blow it. It was very fun. Even though I picked the Eagles in the pick'em, I just thought it was fun. I had a great enjoyment watching Kirko just game-winning drive and then Jalen Hurts throw a game-losing interception. First of all, the fact that you lose that game, I want to look at the win probability. The Eagles were sitting at, where is it? Hold on. I had it until I didn't. 97.6%. First and 10 at the Atlanta 17 with less than 2 minutes to go. And they managed to lose the game. I mean, wow. Wow. That, if you look on the ESPN, on the win probability chart thing, it is spectacular. It is one of the funnier things I've seen. Saquon Barkley, with his stone hands, drops what would have been a game-winning, potentially a touchdown, at least a first down, obviously would have won the game. But Captain Kirko, he is inevitable. He comes out, gets a really nice win on what wasn't an amazing day again for either of these teams, but he gets the win. At the end of it, it's a win-loss league. So Atlanta's going to take the wins where they can get them. They very well could be a sneaky team here in the NFC, at least in their division. They can make the playoffs for sure if they can put together drives like that at the very end, and if Captain Kirko can, keep it up. So all that is fun. We will get to the picks later in the show. Oh boy, that ball went into. Okay, good. Bobby Witt stayed. So, okay, there's a strikeout, but stolen base. So, tying run is at second with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Because Dylan Dingler couldn't throw out Bobby Witt, which sucks. But at least they struck out Salvador Perez, who's been playing baseball since I was 3 years old. Yeah, Salvador Perez, this guy. How long has he been in the league? Cole Keith, can you please that was not a bad throw. You got to be able to glove that. Anyway. Youngest player in MLB history with consecutive seasons of 30-plus stolen bases and 30-plus home runs. How do they come up with these stats? Seriously, that's an incredible stat for one, just on its own. But how do you even come up with that? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway. We're going to move on to college football. There's not too much for me to talk about in college football because there wasn't a whole lot that happened. So I guess we'll talk about Michigan State first. Very briefly, they destroyed Prairie View A&M as everybody expected. However, They did one thing that was unforgivable. They did not cover. The spread was 40.5. They were minus 40.5 point favorites over the Prairie View Panthers. And they scored 40 points. Get to it. Is it going to be out? Yes. Okay. They scored 40 points. So, I mean, they dominated. Aiden Childs had another solid day, 12 for 19, 173 yards and a touchdown, including a rushing touchdown. Nate Carter had 91 yards on the ground, as well as a big touchdown. Nick Marsh had a solid day as well. Or I guess he had he had 8 yards rushing, and he had a couple of catches for 27 yards. Jack Velling had a couple of catches for 42 yards. It was a solid day. Obviously, practically speaking, this was a scrimmage. So a lot of guys were taken out of the game pretty early because, I mean, you were up, you were up 27-0 at the half. So yeah, you're probably done, basically. But it's like they were 1 point away from covering the spread, man. I was begging. I don't bet, as you all know, but I was just like, come on, cover the spread. Like they were putting us as 41 point favorites to win this game. Cover the spread. And they couldn't do it. But the other story about this was the defense. Obviously, look, I know it's Prairie View A&M, so you shut them down. I'm not really all that impressed. But Charles Brantley had one of the most exciting and amazing pick sixes I've ever seen. 100 yards, intercepts the ball in the end zone. Now, this was before an interception was taken back, when it really should not have been. But it was taken back. I don't know if it was him with the interception on that when it was taken back, but intercepts the ball. My initial reaction was just go down. You just take the field position. He starts running. And I'm like, okay. And then I see him get past the 20. I'm like, all right, cool. So he got past what would have been the touchback. And he gets past the 30. And he gets past the 40. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to take this all the way. He's got like one guy to go. And he does. A 100-yard pick six from Charles Brantley. Incredibly exciting stuff. Michigan State moves to 3-0 on the year, which is feel a lot better than I did 3 weeks into this season for Michigan State that I did last year 3 weeks in when what's his name? Washington destroyed us after Mel Tucker got embarrassed, needless to say, on the national stage. Not related to his football team, actually, ironically enough. But yeah, I mean, this week we're going into a Boston College game. Like, this is like, okay, just wanted to get this game over with, get the win, blow them out, look good, feel good, go into Boston College on the road, feeling good about yourself, feeling confident in the offense. This is going to be the test. And I'm pretty sure I said this same thing going into the Maryland game, and you passed that test. It's going to be test number 2. Boston College, I do think, is a better team than Maryland was. Now, Boston College is no longer in the top 25 because they lost to Mizzou, but they were in the top 25. Maryland has never been in the top 25. Boston College on the road, it's an out-of-conference game, so it's not impactful in necessarily your ability to win the conference or to, perform well in the conference, but it is, still a big game. It would be a statement game. If you can get the win, if you can go to 4-0, right? If you can go to 4-0, where basically you just need 2 more wins to get bowl eligibility, which, again, my record for success this year for Michigan State was make a bowl game. Like, going into, like, if you can go into Ohio State on the 28th undefeated 4-0, I'm not saying you're going to win that game. I don't think you will. But I feel a whole lot better if you went into that game with a win than, start the 4-game gauntlet, which might not necessarily look like a gauntlet. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. But no, I mean, like, the challenge is going to be Boston College. And as much fun as I had watching Michigan State blow out Prairie View A&M, they're not really a real football team. So all's to hoping that they can pull off the win against Boston College. That's also a night game. So that'll be the second night game of the season for Michigan State. And the last night game they played was not good against Florida Atlantic. And that was at home. So again, time has changed. The team's gotten better since that game. So hoping for good stuff. And yeah, I don't know. This team just, I hate to use the, it just feels different, but it kind of does just feel different. Like, it just kind of feels like this team is getting a rhythm here. And I wouldn't be shocked if they go into Boston College and get a gutsy win. I really wouldn't. They're probably not going to win 40-0, but I wouldn't be shocked if they win it and they had a good game and they finish the job. So yeah, good on this. Good on Michigan State. Just double checking because I got some notifications there. Good on Michigan State. Good on Aiden Shiles. So we are on to Boston College. Now, I want to go ahead and spend a little bit of time here on college football. So, look, the first point I want to talk about, and I know that what will inevitably happen if this is clipped, I don't know if I'm going to clip this section, I'm not sure, is, oh, Michigan State fan talking about Michigan, we're just in your head. Look, it's news. I talk about the news. What do you want from me? Michigan beats Arkansas State. Davis Warren, however, loses his starting job. I'm gonna be honest. If I'm a Michigan fan, and again, take this for what you want. I'm in full on panic mode because you're putting Alex Orji in there, but apparently this Davis Warren guy won the QB competition coming out of the the spring game, essentially. Davis Warren threw for 122 yards, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. Alex Orji comes in, he throws 2 for 4 with a touchdown. I don't think Alex Orji can throw the ball, and he's winning the starting job going into conference play against USC next week for Michigan. I'm not saying the wheels are going to completely fall off for Michigan after this. Like, this will be the last. I'm not saying that this will be the last win because I don't think that's going to be the case. But if it is, Sharon Moore getting extended like right after that Texas loss might be one of the more awkward moments in that for the entire team. Like, that is, I'm not going to say, like, short of Sharon Moore, this actually being his last one, which I don't think that's going to be the case. There's no way that Michigan is going to go 2-10. Like, that level of drop off from a reigning national champion, I don't think has ever happened since maybe like the 30s or something. Like, maybe Michigan's like first national championship was something like this. I actually don't know because they were like the only team. So hard to like fall off when it's like you against one other guy. It's like, well, you either win or you lose. Yeah, but no. Michigan should be in full on panic mode for the quarterback. I don't think they're going to. I think at this point, assuming Alex Orji is who he has shown himself to be throughout the limited amount that we've seen him, that is to say, not very good. I would not expect any more than 6 wins. And I say that very happily, obviously, because I hate Michigan and I hope they do lose all the games for the rest of the year. But I mean, like, he can't be that bad, right? I mean, I'm like, there's no way. He's been on the team for like 3 years at this. There's no way that he's just still not even remotely capable of being quarterback, like, at all. I mean, Davis Warren was on the team for some amount of time, I think. Look, my whole point in saying this is, for Michigan, you better be looking at Sharon Moore and this whole coaching staff with a magnifying glass, because this feels very, very like status quo. Don't rock the boat. We're going to do this our way. You can't tell us what to do. I know more than you kind of thing. And it reminds me of old Michigan, which is actually most of Michigan since, the 90s or so. I'm not saying it's going to be that, but that's just telling you what it reminds me. Meanwhile, Georgia, I'm going to be honest with you guys. All right. As I always am. I didn't watch a lot of these games because I was tailgating and I was not paying that much attention. And I got home and I was very tired and just took a nap. And then I woke up and it was the next day. But Georgia, they play an ugly game, but they win. They win 13-12 over Kentucky on the road. I mean, a little surprised by this. Obviously Georgia, the number 1 team in the country going into this game, and they look very lifeless offensively. At least final result looked that way. Again, didn't watch the game. Honestly, didn't even know it was happening. Did not even know this game was happening. But they lost it. A game that I did catch and was watching live was LSU South Carolina. South Carolina, you blew it. You had it all and you blew it. Like, how did you? I was so sad for like I was sad because, for one, LSU did not deserve to win that game. They deserved nothing but shame because Brian Kelly is a weirdo and can't get out of his own way. But yet, South Carolina was like the SpongeBob meme where Plankton is like, give it to him, SpongeBob. And he was like, that's my ice cream. And then he's like, now let him have it. You can have it. That's what South Carolina was like with the win. They're just like, you can have it, LSU. Here, we don't want the win. It's all yours. Go ahead. I was so sad. Like, Lenore Sellers, he had a pretty okay game. It wasn't amazing, but he had a decent. No, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Raheem Sanders, any relation to Barry? Because he ran for 143 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Lenora Sellers, he obviously ran for a couple of touchdowns as well. But Garrett Nussmeier, the Nuss Bus, kept him in it. I do like Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. I do. But this just feels like a game that South Carolina did not deserve to lose. That they should have won this game handily. Or at least they should have not had it lost to them in a game-winning field goal. They were in control for most of the game, and you had it all and you blew it. You had it all and you blew it. So, good job. Very disappointed in South Carolina. Also, Notre Dame took the loss to Northern Illinois personally. And by personally, I mean on Purdue. 66-7. Does this team want to be good or not? That's sort of my thing. It's like, do you want to be like a really good team, or do you want to just not be a good team, Notre Dame? What are you feeling? Because like last week you lost Notre Dame, or you lost to Northern Illinois. And this week, you destroyed Purdue, right? And the week before that, you beat Texas A&M on the road. So I'm just like, I'm trying to figure it out, right? I'm trying to gauge where Notre Dame is at. Because currently, I don't think they know where they're at. I think they're basically just game by game. Like next week, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. I don't know who they're playing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. Because maybe it's just up down league for Notre Dame. It's like they're up this week and then they're going to be down next week. Hey, fine by me. I would enjoy getting to talk about Notre Dame being really good and then being really bad and being very good and then being really bad and being really good and then being really bad. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. Every week we just have, all right, guys, Notre Dame is good again. Oh, Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame's bad. And they're good. They're good and they're bad. And they're back to being bad. That would be fun. But moving along to the AP poll, because there was some movement. Not too significant, but significant in the points that it matters. Texas has moved to the number 1 team in the country. Georgia moves down a spot. Texas destroyed whoever it was they played. They played somebody and they destroyed them. It wasn't very close. I think they were playing the Little Sisters of the Poor, I believe, was actually who they were playing. They got a good team this year, Little Sisters. Don't mess with Little Sisters. Meanwhile, we also have movement. Tennessee moves up to number 6. They had a good win for them last week. They got Oklahoma this week, so that's going to be a good game there. Missouri drops a spot despite winning over Boston College. So I'm not really sure how that works, but they beat Boston College and they lose a spot. So they go down to number 7. Miami moves up a couple of spots. They are now number 8. Penn State drops a couple of spots. They are now number 10. Kansas State up a spot, 13. Oklahoma State drops a spot down to 14. Notre Dame moves up a spot. Michigan continues to drop down to 18. Iowa State moves up a spot. They are now 20. Clemson moves up a spot to 21. Nebraska moves up a spot, 22. Northern Illinois still kicking. They move up a couple of spots to 23. And how about it? The Illini, the Fighting Illini in the top 25. Number 24 in the country, ahead of Texas A&M, who rounds out the top 25 as they manage to get themselves back into it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how Illinois is like actually kind of good. but they are. Like, they at least appear that way. Friday night they got Nebraska. That should be a good game. Top 25 matchup. I mean, that good on Fox for scheduling that one on Friday night. That should be a good game. I'll probably be able to flip that game on because Big Ten matchup. We're gonna have to play Illinois later in the season. Michigan State is, so that could be interesting. I got another more on that, but yeah, I mean, not too much movement, like I said, but movement in significant areas, like teams entering the top 25, teams moving to number 1 in the case of Texas, Tennessee continuing to move up, Penn State continuing to trend down, Michigan continue to trend down, all that. Not too much craziness, but I'm sure by the end of next week, there might be some craziness, especially with the top 25 matchups continuing to go on. So, yeah, fun stuff. Fun. All right. Speaking of fun. All right. Speaking of fun. Right now, Tigers are up 1-0. They got a runner on third with 1 out. And it's 2 balls and a strike on Matt Vierling, who delivered the lone RBI of the game. We got to talk about your Detroit Tigers because they are currently a game and a half out of the wild card. Now, Minnesota was winning last they showed. So that is obviously not good because Minnesota is the team we got to beat. Now, either way, we have to win our game, right? That's my thing. Is like, even if Minnesota wins, we have to win our games anyway, right? So, like, if we win our games, we leave it up to Minnesota to blow their games. So, hopefully the Tigers can hold on to this 1-0 lead as Matt Vierling swings and misses to make it 3-2. But look, this is a real playoff chase. This is not Fugazi. I really don't think so. This is young players getting called up, getting spots, and making a name for themselves. Trey Sweeney was a AAA player in the Jack Flaherty trade, and he has been a contributor. I've already talked at length about Parker Meadows. Spencer Torkelson has been solid since coming back up. Riley Green is a star in this league and maybe one of the more underrated players in baseball because for the longest time, I don't think, well, for one, if you had Xfinity, you couldn't even watch the game on cable. But, like, I just don't think a lot of people were even talking about Riley Green. He was quietly having one of the better seasons in the league for an outfielder. Like, and the pitching staff, I mean, I could run down some of these names. Like, you know what? Let's do it. Let me run down some of these names for you. I want y'all to find me any notable people. Okay, so obviously, you know Tarek Skubal. Jack Flaherty's not on the team anymore. Reese Olson just came back. But names like Bo Brisky, who I know because I'm a Tiger fan, but Bo Brisky making a name for himself. Shelby Miller, pitching well. Brant Herter, never heard of her. Herter, I barely know her. Brennan Hannafy, Brian Sammons, Ty Madden, Sean Gunther. Like, we're putting it together with a bunch of randoms, essentially, and it's working, like, really well. Like, to the point where I do actually think the Tigers will end up making the playoffs. Now, they still have this week and then next week, and that'll be the final stretch, and we'll find out at the beginning of October whether or not they happen to make it in. This is going to be their toughest week of the season. Looking ahead at their schedule, they got 2 more games, including tonight's game, or they got, I guess, 1 more game, not including tonight's game against Kansas City tomorrow. Hopefully they can win the series tonight and not have to worry about it. But tomorrow they got Kansas City again. And then they get the day off, which is much needed because they haven't had the day off since last Monday. So it's been a pretty long stretch of baseball for them. Then they go on the road to take on Baltimore. Again, this time, though, on the road. And then they get the day off, and then it's a home stretch. It's the final 6 games, but 3 of those games are against the White Sox. So I'm willing to just throw those 3 games as 3 wins. As Riley Green strikes out, so the Tigers don't score an additional run there. But look, if you can survive this week, let alone if you can win both of these series, I think if you win both of these series, it is entirely possible that they're in the playoffs going into this Tuesday series against Tampa Bay at home. It's entirely possible. You might have to get a sweep or whatever there, and the Twins might have to completely shut down, but it's not Not crazy. It's really not. So, like, as down as I had been on this Tiger team for much of the season, I'm going to reserve all the negativity that I had. I'm willing to say, as an honest man, I was wrong. I thought this team was going to be dead. I thought they were far away from having any competent offense. They've had a competent offense, and it's not come from Harvey Baez or Gio Urshela or any of the or Mark Canha. It's come from guys that they traded for, young players coming up, and guys developing into solid everyday bats. Either way, if the Tigers don't make the playoffs, I do think that they have a bright future. But it is going to be on the back of investing in the team in free agency with trades, making the right moves, calling up the guys that are here to make an impact. So, I'm not here to say that Scott Harris is totally exonerated. If they make the playoffs, I think that surely flips the switch on him in a way where he was very, very rough start. But he's certainly shown that the patient approach can work. But we do still need some actual stuff. We do need it to play out. We do need the success to actually occur, right? We can't just have the hypothetical of like, oh well, if we would have, just been good like this all year, then maybe we need the actual tangible results of success, which is making the playoffs in baseball. I mean, the Tigers haven't made the playoffs in 10 years. That is, I believe, the longest playoff drought in MLB. So you just got to get it done. I mean, I think that this city and these fans especially would love to see playoff baseball in Detroit again. And it's going to be interesting what this final home stretch starting on September 24th is going to look like. Because frankly, if I as a Detroit fan myself, I'm not necessarily going to go to these games, but when I watch them on TV, frankly, I better see a lot of people in the stand because this is legit. This is a real playoff chase. Like I would like to see those. I'd like to see the stands filled up, and usually in the last weekend of the year, it is filled up a lot of times anyway. But I mean, just for the sake of the team is actually competing and very well could be in the playoffs by the end of the season. Yeah, like please actually do something. Pique my interest, right? Like actually be good. So yeah, that is that with the Tigers, I guess. So they can do it. I truly believe. I do. Now, to briefly divert, before we get into the picks here. Divert? Yeah, divert's a word. Divert? Is it die? Is it dir? Does it matter? I don't know. The Red Wings actually made a little bit of news. We haven't talked hockey in a very long time. The Red Wings signed Lucas Raymond to an 8-year deal, $64.6 million, for an average annual value of $8.075 million. So Lucas Raymond is the $60 million man. I think this is great. Signing him long term, he deserves it. He was absolutely excellent last year in what was ultimately a disappointing season, but he was one of the, he was arguably the best player on the team last year. So yeah, glad to see that Steve Yzerman got this done, but we're not done yet. I signed Mo Seider. The season's gonna start in a month, so I don't necessarily think it's like totally not going to happen. Like I'm not a doomer, but I need to actually see it be done. And we'll get to NHL preview once the season starts to get a little bit closer because we still have a month or so of basically just football and baseball. But this at least shows me that there is a willingness to spend, and at least your guys, right? There is a willingness to keep your guys here, keep them developing under you and being, superstar caliber players, which I think Lucas Raymond very well could be. So yeah, good stuff for Lucas Raymond and good stuff for the Red Wings, hopefully in the near future. Before we get going, I actually got to use the bathroom really quick, so I'll be right back before we get to the pick. It looks like we just got a double play. Nice. All right. 2 outs, bottom of the third, 1-0. Tigers. Bobby Witt is up though. Swings and fouls a pitch off. Before we actually get into the picks, I just want to let's just let this. Hopefully, this inning can finish quickly here. And then we'll get to the actual picks for the week. Now we'll get out of here. We'll scram. We'll move along. Please, Casey. Just here's another guy, former number 1 overall pick. And I mean, he's been okay, which is not what you want to hear from your former 1 of 1. But I mean, maybe he'll eventually develop into a good pitcher, like a really good pitcher. But as of right now, he's just kind of mid. Oh man, 1-2 now. Come on, Casey. Throw a strike. Come on, buddy. 1-2. Bobby Witt has walked earlier today in his first at bat. 1-2. Foul out of play. Every time I see him swing and a ball is hitting play, I get a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I see Bobby Witt swing and the ball is hit, I'm like, oh, dang! The Twins are up 2-1 in the top of the 7th. Come on, Cleveland! Come on, you jerks! They should just have that game like always, like keep it like stuck there. Oh, they actually are. I wasn't kidding. Okay, now they moved it. Dang it! You just always have that game. Like even like show like I would love if they had like a little like I don't know that would be nice. They should be cut into that game every time. Anyway, you still got to win your games anyway. So 2-2. Come on, Casey. Now it's 3-2. Oh my gosh, we got to get to the picks, Casey. You had him down 0-2, and now he's worked it full. Oh my gosh, Casey, please. One more strike, buddy. Come on, here we go. Here's going to be strike 3. I think he's got only 1 strikeout on the day, too. On the night, I should say. 3-2. High and away, he walked. All right. We're just going to go out of the picks. All right. So, after attempting to believe in Casey Mize to get 1 more out, we're going to go to the picks instead. So, you already know what time it is. Hit the music. That's probably a good volume, right? Probably. Hope this is a good volume. So, this week, or this past week, me and Seth ended up tying. 8 picks were correct. It was a rough week. Both of us got 8 picks right. Seth obviously is not here again, so we will take his picks and go for it. So, Thursday night football, Patriots visiting New Jersey, taking on the Jets. Jets. Seth is taking the Jets. I'm gonna take the Pats. I know I'm taking a risk here. I refuse. This is two ugly teams. But the Patriots played the Seahawks close last week at home, lost the game obviously in overtime. I don't know. I just kind of like the Patriots a little bit more. I think it's gonna be an ugly game, but the way the NFL has gone, I'm just willing to bet anybody. I'm willing to pick anybody, even if it feels stupid. So give me the Pats to get the win here. So yeah. Let's see. Giants at the Brownies. Seth is taking the Browns. I suppose I will agree. I suppose I will just agree. Yeah, the Browns are terrible, but weirdly enough, the Giants are also terrible. So, yeah, I think I'll stick with the Browns here. I can't believe in the Browns, or in the Giants, I should say. They lost a game without the other team scoring a touchdown, man. I mean, come on. Bears at the Colts. Seth is taking where is it? Pick the Bears. Man, this is actually really tough. I'm gonna take the Colts. I just, from what I have seen from the Bears all season long, it's just kind of been okay. Like Caleb Williams has not had any games that have been good. The Colts, at least with Anthony Richardson, last week, I can't explain that loss to the Pack. Other than it was on the road. That's the only explanation. But yeah, Anthony Richardson, I will stake my hope in him. I will believe Anthony Richardson can get a win here, and yeah, that's all I got. I don't know that this game is really going to be all that entertaining unless Caleb Williams starts to turn it on. Then maybe it could be kind of a fun game. Two quarterbacks just slinging the ball down. So give me the Colts. Texans at the Vikings. Seth taking the Texans. Look, I agree. This has to stop. There's no way that the Vikings are actually good this year. It has to end. Sam Darnold, you had your little fun. All right. It was fun. We all enjoyed it. We had a good time. It's cool. We're all having fun. It's all good. Texans, I think they're going to go into Minnesota. I think they're going to win this game. CJ Stroud, despite his struggles this past Sunday, I do think he can bounce back. It'll be a much weaker defense theoretically. Again, the Vikings are undefeated, so this is things. But so are the Texans. They're also undefeated. So two undefeated teams. Who would have thought? Up next, Eagles at the Saints. Seth is taking where's his pick? The Saints. You know what? Sure. I can't explain it. Derek Carr and the Saints are playing out of their mind. And the Eagles are technically playing football, but I don't know that anyone would truly actually believe that what they are showing is football. Last week they blow it, so they're I don't know. Things are weird in Philly. The vibes are immaculate in New Orleans. So give me the Saints. I'm sure this is going to be the game where they finally have the wheels fall off. But hey, let's have fun while we can. Chargers visiting Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. Seth is obviously taking his Chargers. Gosh, I hate this. I'm going to take the Steelers. They're undefeated, so are the Chargers. But I just, when I look at this matchup, I will take ugly defensive win over ugly offensive win. One of the Chargers wins is against the Panthers, which is not fair, right? That's just not fair. And I don't really know what kind of a team the Chargers ultimately are. The Steelers, I know it's going to be a grind. It's going to be ugly. It's going to look weird. So, yeah, I will give it to the Steelers to get the win. I got nothing. I hate the Steelers, but they're going to pull off a win somehow. It's going to be like a 16-14 win. It's going to be the worst football you'll ever see. Broncos at the Buccaneers. Seth is taking the Buccaneers. And yeah, you got to agree. Baker's Bucs. I witnessed it firsthand. They can find ways to win games, and the Broncos can find amazing ways to lose games. So yeah, I don't see a world where the Broncos get the win here. I did like Bo Nix coming into this season, but yeah, it's not looking good. It's not a great start. Not a great start for any of the quarterbacks drafted, really. J.J. McCarthy's dead. Bo Nix looks terrible. Michael Penix isn't even playing. It's been weird. I guess Jane Daniels looks okay. He's the only one that looks okay. So, good for him. Packers taking on the Titans. Little Malik Willis revenge game. Malik Willis revenge game coming back to Tennessee. Seth is taking the Pack to win this game. I don't know. Who do I pick? The Packers played an awfully ugly game with Malik Willis because Malik Willis is not a good quarterback, but they managed to find the way to win. The Titans, on the other hand, they do have this ability to find ways to lose. Who did they even play last week? I don't even remember. They played the Jets and they lost that game. I guess I'll go with the Pack. At least if I get it wrong, we'll both get it wrong, right? That's the sort of mindset I'm living in. So yeah, I'm gonna live on the hope that the Packers don't actually have a good quarterback, and I'll be wrong. So it'll be a win-win. So yeah. Up next, the Panthers visiting the Raiders. Seth, I don't even really need to look because he's taking the Raiders, and I'm not going to explain any further. Yeah, I'm taking the Raiders. Panthers might not win a game. Not talking anymore. Dolphins at the Seahawks. I'm done. I'm not talking about that game. I have nothing to break down. Dolphins at the Seahawks. Seth is taking the... Where is his pick? Hold on. Where is this thing? Hold on. Dolphins. I always miss it. The Dolphins, I'm going to take the Seahawks. The loss of Tua, I think, is going to have a massive effect. Skylar Thompson is going to be their starting quarterback on Sunday. And, I don't think that's going to look great. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of weapons, so they might be able to put up some yards, make some plays, but I don't see them pulling off a win here. The Seahawks are a gutsy team. They're a well-coached team. It might be ugly, but I think the Seahawks can pull off a win here. So give me the Seahawks, Geno Smith and the boys get the win. Up next, the Lions visiting Arizona, taking on the Cardinals. Seth is taking the Lions to bounce back, and I'm going to agree. Obviously, Lions fan, so I'm not ever going to pick against them. So, give me the Lions. They are the ultimate bounce-back team. I do think that this offense has yet to really get things going. After a putrid showing last week, I think this could be a wake-up call for them to really get things going. It's going to be a tough game on the road against a team that is high on life right now. 1-1. They're the same record as you. But high on life right now. Feeling good. They just beat a divisional opponent. Beat the doors off of them. I do think, though, that the Lions will be able to pull off the win and get themselves right back into it because this defense might actually be legit. Aiden Hutchinson on a Defensive Player of the Year career. He's looking for that. He's trying to get that award this year. So, give me the Lions. Ravens at the Cowboys. I believe this is America's game of the week. So if you like Tom Brady calling Cowboys games, then get 3 of them in a row. Seth is taking the Ravens to win the game. I'll take the Ravens. The Cowboys look so bad. And I mean, they beat the Browns on the road earlier in the season, but that is starting to look like not all that great of a win anyway. And they're coming off of a terrible game at home. They could bounce back for sure, but hey, the Ravens also have played a terrible game at home. So who wants to win a game more? I think the Ravens are going to be very desperate. They're 0-2. They're trying to break the teams that start 0-2 usually don't make the playoffs. And it'd be crazy if the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson, does not make the playoffs. Give me the Ravens, get the win here, get themselves back on track. 49ers taking on the Rams. Seth is taking the 49ers. I think the injuries are just too much. I think the 49ers are going to get the win here, despite the loss of Debo. I do think that San Fran is that team. I think they are a very good team. I think they'll be able to overcome the loss of Debo and of McCaffrey as well. So this might be a closer game. Both these teams dealing with heavy injuries in their offensive side of the ball, but I do think that the 49ers come away with the win. It might be ugly, but I think they come away with the win. Give me the 49ers. Chiefs at the Falcons on Sunday night. Oh, Sunday night. Seth is taking the Chiefs. I'm just going to do it on principle. My thinking is, with the Chiefs, even when you think they're not going to win, just pick them. The vibes in in Atlanta right now are immaculate. But the vibes in Kansas City, they are undefeated. They never lose. I don't know how they do it. I hope they do lose, and I want them to cut to the Taylor cam every time that Travis Kelce drops a pass, or whenever the Falcons score. That'd be great, but it's not going to happen. So give me the Chiefs. They're going to win it, and America is going to be upset. Now we got a doubleheader on Monday night. The Jags taking on the Bills, heading to Buffalo. Seth is taking the Bills. Yeah, good call. Trevor Lawrence sucks. He's terrible, and I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to be able to handily take care of them as they have their first two games, right? Just take care of their opponents. They've got coming off a long break after a Thursday night win, so I think they're going to be ready to go. And I don't have much hope for the Jaguars. So yeah, that's too bad. And finally, the Commanders heading to Cincy, taking on the Bungles, trying to bounce back out of an 0-2 start. Seth is taking the Bengals. I will agree. The Commanders last week, despite their win, did not score a touchdown. And the Bengals, despite their loss, looked pretty good. Joe Burrow looked a lot better. Was a lot more, felt a lot more like the Joe Burrow we remember. I don't know if it's going to last, but yeah, I don't think the Commanders are going to win a lot of games. And the Bengals are prime for a bounce back this week. Again, they're 0-2. you don't like the stats on teams that start 0-2 as far as their ability to make the playoffs. So it's must-win territory for Cincinnati. You don't want to fall 0-3 because stats get even worse. So give me the Bengals. All right, to round it off here, starting Patriots at the Jets. Seth is taking the Jets. I am taking the Patriots. Giants, Browns. We are both taking the Browns. Bears, Colts. Seth is taking the Bears. I am taking the Colts. Texans, Vikings. We are both taking the Texans. Eagles, Saints. We're both taking the Saints. Chargers, Steelers. Seth is taking the Chargers. I am taking the Steelers. Broncos, Buccaneers. We are both taking the Buccaneers. Packers, Titans. We are both taking the Packers. Panthers, Raiders. We are both taking the Raiders. Dolphins, Seahawks. Seth is taking the Dolphins. I am taking the Seahawks. Lions, Cardinals. Seth, we are both taking the Lions. Ravens, Cowboys. We are both taking the Ravens. 49ers, Rams. We are both taking the 49ers. Chiefs, Falcons. We are both taking the Chiefs. Jaguars, Bills. We are both taking the Bills. And Commanders, Bengals. We are both taking the Bengals. And those are your week 3 picks. All right. Torkelson just get hit? I believe he did. No, he didn't. He dodged it. Oh, I thought he did. Come on, Torque. Lean into it. Be a man. He's got a 3-2 count. Come on, Torque. Let's send one to the seats. Come on. Haven't seen a Torque bomb in a while. All right, that's a foul ball. Was not a Torque bomb. Not a Torque bomb. Tigers got a man on first with 1 out. Cole Reagans and Casey Mize both. I mean, I don't know if Casey Mize is going to stay in much longer, but both pitching all right, I guess. At least in terms of runs. Foul ball by Torkelson, just able to get a piece of the slider. I love a little golf tap. Little golf. Knock that ball out of the way. What's the score of the Twins game? Show the Twins thing. Come on. I order you, Bally Sports Monitor. Show me the Twins score. Are they losing? I don't care about San Diego and Houston. The game isn't even on yet. Why are you even showing me that? All right, come on, Torque. All right, he walked him. All right. Anyway, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So, appreciate anybody stopping by, listening in, hanging out. We do shows like this every Tuesday. So, if you enjoy hearing my ramblings and rants about all things sports, it's a place for you. So, a little bit of, I guess, upcoming show notes. So the plan is I will be streaming Michigan State's Saturday night game against Boston College. I got to double check that I have ACC Network because that is the channel it'll be on. I'm pretty sure I do, but I got to double check just in case. So that should be fun evening game. Hopefully we get the win. And then I do also plan on streaming, obviously, Lions Cardinals on Sunday. So should be a packed weekend of live reactions and play-by-play. Hopefully 2 wins. You know, just like the first time that we had them both playing. You know, 2 wins. Hopefully that is what comes. That would be nice. But you know, hey, we'll see. So with that though, Trey Sweeney swings and misses. That is where we're gonna wrap up the show. I appreciate anybody for stopping by. Clips of the show will be uploaded tomorrow in case you missed anything and want to just watch some of your favorite clips. So have a good night, everybody. I will see you all hopefully on Saturday, if not definitely on Sunday. And have a great rest of your week. See you later. Goodbye. See ya. Goodbye. See ya.